We've reviewed tons of books on this show at the request of our listeners and our regular contributors. I have to say, though, nobody's been more on point with her recommendations than Sara Hillis. And Sara, when you have a book recommendation, you know that I'm taking it. And seriously, you've just been so on point with these. And today, you're recommending The Blue Hour by Paula Hawkins. Why are you recommending this one?
This is just a really compelling read. I think if you're in the summer looking for something at your cottage, it'll be a great one. It's atmospheric. Paula Hawkins basically writes mysteries / suspense type novels. I would call them more suspense novels because there is usually a mystery at the heart of the novel, but it's usually more about how the characters interact with each other and, the heightening of tensions as things go on. They're kind of slow burns, but the slow burn is the whole way through the book. Like that's the whole purpose of the book. It just all works, even though you come to a bit of a fast conclusion at the end of most of these books, like action oriented, but mostly it's just really about psychology and people interacting with each other. This book is an art mystery. So you have the art curator, who's kind of the detective-ish type person in the book. Sort of Jimmy Stewart character in Vertigo kind of idea, the guy trying to figure things out. And you have this reclusive woman who was a companion of a dead artist. The curator's foundation, they have the dead artist collection, Vanessa Chapman's collection, and they loaned some pieces of this collection to the Tate Modern Gallery in London, and the Tate Modern calls them and says, look, we have this sculpture piece, and there's a human bone in this piece. Everybody thought it was a bone of a deer or something like this, but an anthropologist told them there was a human bone, and they're like, what the heck? Well, who could this human bone be? Well, lo and behold, the dead woman's ex-husband had he sort of disappeared mysteriously and died mysteriously. And could it have been him? Like nobody really knows what happened to him, this kind of thing. So the foundation says, we'll figure this out because we don't want them to break open the sculpture to fix it and to test it, because it will ruin the insurance and all that kind of stuff. And so he has to go meet this reclusive woman who lives on an island in Scotland. That's a tidal island, which means only at low tide you can cross the causeway to get to this island. So every 12 hours a day. It's really isolated. There's like one house on the island. Vanessa, the artist, had bought it. This woman, whom we come to know, named Grace, lived with her for a long time. And it's all about him and her. There's a bit of a subplot with his wife being formally engaged to the owner of the foundation. And the owner of the foundation is his friend from school. So it's a whole kind of bit of a love triangle or a suspiciousness on his part. Like, is she going out with him? Is she seeing him again? What's going on? So that's one of the subplots. But the main plot is him trying to figure out this woman, this Grace, and why she won't give them what she says, what they are entitled to as the foundation. And you learn more and more. So there's an amazing atmosphere. The island's awesome. Like the setting is great. The idea of the diaries of the artist are really cool. Like I enjoy how that was written. And it draws you right into the world. I just love it. And the best thing about the audiobook is that Gemma Whelan, who's the narrator, not Julia, but Gemma, she's British, and Paula Hawkins have like a post-book interview with each other. They sort of ask each other questions about, how did you find narrating this part? Well, how did you find writing this or that? And it was so awesome. It's from 2024, so not too long ago. And it's got a very Daphne du Maurier kind of sense to it. Sort of, you never know what's what until you do, and then it's usually too late. And Yeah, they compare the reviewers compare it to Daphne du Maurier, Patricia Highsmith, Shirley Jackson, this kind of lovely atmosphere. It's and just total suspense and like what's going to happen next and what really did happen all those years ago and that kind of stuff, right? It's all about secrets and how you view the past and maybe you view it wrongly because she loves her unreliable um, narrators or points of view, right? She loves those people that see it one way, but it really was another way. And yeah, it's great.
Any book that takes place um, on like a small island or any kind of small setting like that, it kind of pushes authors to be more detailed with the setting. It's like continuously elaborating on this very small place. I mean, might elaborate on the history, like the history of the ownership of the plants that are on there, what it looks like at night, during the day. Like you can continuously elaborate to the point where it kind of becomes a character of its own. Which, as somebody who reads a lot of fantasy, which is very big worlds, sometimes it seems like it's as big as the ocean, but as shallow as a puddle. And in a setting like on a tidal island, it's the exact opposite. It's a tiny little hole that's actually kilometers deep. And so, especially in a suspense or mystery setting, the setting is super important. It's very, very important. It sounds like it's been well done here.
Yeah, it's been really well done. And yes, I agree. The island itself is definitely a character in the book, as it were. Kind of in a weird way, a la Mervyn Peake. Like he makes as crazy as Gorman Guest is, which I haven't fully finished, by the way. Any of like I finished one book, but it takes place in this huge castle, and so the castle has to be a character as much as the people do because you're not going anywhere else. There's no other place to go, and so they contrast the island with the foundation, which is really like a manor. Like the owners are a lady and her son, the lord of the manor, literally, but it's also an art foundation, which is trying to be kind of a private museum, but it hasn't really fully got up on its feet. Vanessa has left this stuff to the husband of the lady who's now dead. He's passed away. You find out about that too, which is very interesting. And but it was bad blood between them because she'd canceled her gallery show with him at the last minute, and then but she finally didn't know who else to leave her stuff to, so she left it to this Lord I can't remember Douglas was his name, but I can't remember the last name of the people. But yeah, so there's a whole subplot with that too. So the foundation's really mad at this Grace woman for keeping some stuff behind, which she should have given over. But Grace is like, well, what's private and what's art? I don't even care much about art. That's the thing. She's not like an arty person, is Grace. It was Vanessa she cared about. And it's a whole thing about that too. Like the art world is so pretentious. There's this sort of a little bit of a send up of the art world, I think, that she does a little bit. The author, I mean, Paula Hawkins, and that's kind of fun. I'm not up on art, but I felt like I could follow enough to let it be a part of the story. Like I didn't have to go, oh, what's more art stuff? I think I'll fast forward a couple minutes or something. She's not an art person either. In real life, like she doesn't paint or do anything like that, Paula Hawkins, but she managed to make it quite accessible, I think, as much as you needed for the story, which is cool. And there's the whole creative process. Like you see the artist through her diaries and her notes, and you can kind of tell that Paula's using her own sort of ideas about creativity, but putting it in a visual art framework, which is also kind of neat because I'm a writer and I enjoy reading about other people's creative processes. So yeah, it's just I just it's a little gem of a book. Like I didn't think people wrote like that anymore, and I'm sure they do, but I get kind of annoyed with some some modern books, it's just like, oh look, they're having sex again, yay, like that kind of thing. And
Is this more of a literary book? Like, because you said it's good like cottage read, but it sounds to me like it's literary.
I suppose it's a little more literary, but I think if you like character studies, like if you like books that are based on character, and sort of inevitability, like you'll sort of see the inevitability coming. You're sort of like, okay, I see. Like if you like that kind of thing, then you'll like it. It'll be good. Like it's not a light sort of romance, like it's not a light read, but I mean, some people when they go to their cottage, they want to read that's going to really take them somewhere in a real way, right? And it's a great book. I like it.
How would you rate out of 5 stars The Blue Hour by Paula Hawkins?
It's not really fair because I always rate everything on Goodreads with 5 stars because they wrote it, and I think that's awesome.
But you're such an artist. I'm just happy you were creative.
Like I haven't ever read a book that I really needed to not rate 5 stars, right? That's what I guess I mean. And this, again, I would say 5 stars. Like it put me right where in the world right from the beginning. It just, yeah.
All right, Sarah, thank you so much for your review of The Blue Hour. I'm going to make sure to include links in the description so you guys can find that book. Sarah, have a good one. We'll talk again next month.
Yeah.